Although now I have to ask you, why don't you mention Murray Rothbard ever?
There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
So like when I went to school at George Mason, we had a chance to go see Murray Rothbard all the time, and I famously, I've told this story, I had my first real beer with Murray Rothbard.
Well, that should be reason.
In Palo Alto.
Yeah.
But the reason I don't is because I think, Matt, I started off reading Ayn Rand when I was a kid. That was my gateway as a lot of people. So I had that sort of hardcore Rage Against the Machine individualism thing. I had that part down. I could be an angry libertarian.
Murray Rothbard loved that book. You know?
And Murray, like I always put Murray in that camp.
Yeah.
And later when I went to Mason, a dear mentor of mine, Don Lavoie, turned me on to Hayek and that whole continental philosophy tradition.
Oh yeah.
And I struggled for a while to sort of square it with sort of the Randian objectivist thing, and I ended up abandoning some of that project to better understand Hayek. So it's a matter of emphasis, because I think libertarians generally are not good about explaining the power of community. And that's like Hayek is almost a communitarian. I think he would be upset with that definition, but he was explaining the power of what happens when people are free to come together and create, like Don Lavoie called it, and this will sound sort of socialist, he called the market process the way that we can create a greater social intelligence.
Yeah.
And I think Ayn Rand would freak out if she heard the phrase greater social intelligence. And so, like, just my fascination, I don't talk about Murray that much because a lot of his work, I'm not treating him fairly here, but I sort of put him in the Rand camp. Like, he's the individualist.
Okay. Yeah. Well, no, that's a fair comment. That's a matter of taste. As a matter of fact, though, if I were asked, I would indeed probably echo your point and say, read the greatest popularization ever written of a great essay, Knowledge and Decisions. If you want to get a taste of what Hayek ended up admiring and thinking, this guy has really taken my views to a new level. Not just the division of labor, but the division of knowledge, and contributed something unique to it. From Hayek's rather compressed essay on the subject, Hayek, of course, writing English as a second language and pretty competently, but not quite with the panache of Thomas Sowell. However, if then pressed, what should I read by Hayek? You know what I would say? The Mirage of Social Justice, because that's a somewhat unpleasant tonic. That book, that's the second in the series on liberty. I mean, he did a trilogy on liberty. I forget the full title, but this one was basically called The Mirage of Social Justice, and the only way, and where he does basically say that just as we gave up long ago looking for the just price, we it's just as foolish to look for the just wage.